All right, Dan, let's get into some news here. Jayson Tatum is set to miss Game 2 against Orlando. They're up 1-0 in the series. Jayson Tatum having a shooting hand wrist injury that Joe Mazzulla seemed to think wasn't a big deal after Game 1. Might have been gamesmanship, but in the injury report, he's listed as doubtful. Dan, this is big news when it comes to Jayson Tatum, who has been maybe the most durable superstar in the NBA since he entered the league.
First off, it just reminded me that Joe Mazzulla, when Kristaps Porzingis came up a little bit, hobbled last postseason, was like, yeah, I don't think it's a big deal. He'll probably be fine. And then it turned out to be some kind of like ankle injury no one had ever heard of to a sheath of and then he was gone for like 6 months. So hopefully that's not the case with Jayson Tatum. Hopefully this is just Joe Mazzulla's stock answer being, I'm not giving you anything. I'm giving you nothing. That's it. Jayson Tatum has been in the playoffs every year since he got drafted in 2017. And he has yet to miss a playoff game. He's played 114 straight playoff games. This would be his first miss, and he's listed as doubtful heading into Game 2 here. And that's obviously the Celtics. It's a big part of the case every year when we talk about MVP or All NBA. It's that Tatum he is a constant. He is such a dependable rock. He's solid across the board on both ends of the floor, but he's also just always there. He rarely misses games. He plays big minutes every game he's in. So the Celtics going into a matchup, even they would still be heavily favored, I would imagine, against the Orlando Magic, just given how difficult it is for the Magic to score. But this is literally uncharted territory for them in a playoff game. And so it'll be interesting to see what kind of matchups how Mazzulla juggles his lineup, what he would look to do and where he would look to redirect things without Tatum, because they've just been able to depend on him for so long every night when you get to this time of year.
Couple things here. One, the Boston Celtics must not respect the Orlando Magic. That's where my first mind, when I saw the news that he was doubtful, I was like, oh, they're just giving him a game because they really feel like they don't need him to win this series.
Well, it was the LeBron thing against the Raptors. It's like, I've been in adverse situations. This is not an adverse situation.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think if they're in the Eastern Conference semis or even in the Eastern Conference finals, I don't think he's missing this game. I'm no doctor, and neither is Joe Mazzulla, apparently, as you pointed out. That you look at this and that it went from he's fine, whatever, to he's doubtful. It speaks to the fact that this is either really more serious than they imagined it to be, more painful and sore than he imagined it to be, or this is, the Orlando Magic, we can get through this without Jayson Tatum. But I would worry about Jaylen Brown, especially shouldering the load that they have to pick up the slack from Jayson Tatum. Jaylen Brown has had knee issues finishing the regular season, played 10 fewer minutes than Jayson Tatum without being in foul trouble. They're clearly trying to ramp him up as he came off missing the last 3 games of the regular season with the knee issue. I worry about this if you're the Celtics. And I actually think the Cleveland Cavaliers, looking at this situation, they got to be feeling pretty good right now in terms of the path going forward. Just might have gotten a little bit easier now that, look, it's one thing for Jayson Tatum to be dealing with an injury. It's another for Jaylen Brown to have to be a guy, the number one option in his absence. Now, look, the Celtics have never been a heliocentric team. It's not like they're going to look at Jaylen Brown, who I don't think looked very sharp in Game 1. Just 6 of 14 shooting, didn't hit a 3-pointer. He's been missing a lot of threes lately. He's going to have to do better in Game 2 without Jayson Tatum. But I also think this just puts more pressure on the next guy. And that next guy has been dealing with that injury. And so I think the Cavs, if I'm handicapping the playoff, the Eastern Conference Finals going forward, I think you got to give a little bit more increased odds for the Cleveland Cavaliers coming out of the East, purely based on the fact that Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown both have to be great for them to beat the Cavaliers. And the same thing goes for the Cavs. They got to be a clean bill of health going against the Celtics if they have a prayer. But I do think this is a bigger injury for down the line because of the fact that Jaylen Brown has been dealing with something on his own.
You're absolutely right. But before, lest our millions of Orlando Magic fan listeners give us, any kind of flack for skipping right past them and looking to the 2 rounds from now, it's an interesting opportunity, right? The Celtics have been really good when they haven't had Jayson Tatum during the regular season. I think they were 8-2 in the 10 games he missed this regular season, 20-6 without him over the last 3 seasons, which is like the Joe Mazzulla era. And there's still, as you mentioned, plenty of places for them to go offensively. If it's not Jaylen Brown, maybe it's Derek White, maybe it's more Kristaps Porzingis, looking to get him in the post or pick and pop
or the
with
sixth
him.
man of the year, Peyton Pritchard. Congratulations.
Right. So like while it increases the strain on each of those, next man up, they do have a bunch of next men's, so maybe there's a way to make that work. But this, if Paolo Banchero can be the best player on the floor for 2 games in the next week, then what you mentioned, we're talking about not just, I think it would be dramatically shocking for this outcome, this series to change. Although, listen, the minutes where they have neither Tatum nor Brown, the Celtics have gotten drilled this season. There haven't been that many of them because that's why you have 2 of those guys. But if you have more of those and the Magic win those minutes, who knows? The bigger point, though, is like, if this, instead of this being a 4-game Celtics sweep, if this takes 6, if it goes longer and you put more minutes on those guys, like you're already talking about an older Al Horford, an older Drew Holiday, a rotation full of guys that played 80, 100 games last year, and then a couple of them went and played in the Olympics. Like, there's a lot. The strain, the challenge of going back to back is extraordinarily difficult. The strain of the increased responsibility and the workload would be even greater on those guys over the next couple of weeks. So maybe it's a matter of, it's probably a little bit of both, right? This could use some extra time. And also we think we can get away with it. You better get away with it because the longer this series goes, the more variables you got to deal with. And I don't think that a Celtics team that's already got a long road ahead of it to try to get back where it wants to go wants to be dealing with any more variables. My guess is that Joe Mazzulla adjustments he might not want to talk about, math he loves talking about, but independent variables he can't control, I don't think he likes that very much.